Hey guys, I'm Twerking Tiger, and today we're going to do the first of a series of videos where I look back at great retro video games. So today we're going to be looking at Tekken 3. So in terms of the setup that I have right here, I've got an arcade 1-up shell. The arcade 1-up of Mortal Kombat 2 has been taken out, and instead I've put in a new monitor. I've also put in, I've connected a PlayStation Classic. As you can see, this is the main hub of the PlayStation Classic system, where you can actually choose some of the classic games that are available on this system. So we've got Tekken 3. There's a series of games over here that we can choose from. One of my favorites is Battle Arena Toshinden. We've also got Cool Borders. We've got a series of games: Destruction Derby, Metal Gear, Resident Evil Director's Cut, Ridge Racer 4. So just a great series of games on this PlayStation Classic. Many of you have seen that the PlayStation Classic can be hacked, but in this case, I'm just going to play the standard set of games that's on the initial release. I'm going to be playing it on an Intech Gaming arcade board. So this arcade deck, this arcade sticks, is something that is not a part of the arcade 1-up. I just took out the initial arcade deck and replaced it with this one, and this can connect with an adapter to the PlayStation Classic, and you can play with the arcade stick, the arcade experience, and play Tekken. So we're going to go into the game without further ado. Let's see which one. Oh, there we go. So the big thing about when you plug these Intech Gaming control decks into some of these systems, whether it be an Android system, the PlayStation Classic, you can hook it up to your Nintendo Switch, which is really what it's meant for. But the thing that happens is that it's almost like a guess. Like it'll just configure out whatever controls it decides, and you'll just have to see what you get and see if you can work with it and configure the controls if the individual game allows you to. So Tekken 3, this is a game near to my heart. It's got some great characters. It's got some story in there. Not too much, but just to give you a heightened experience from the arcade that came out back in 1997, ported over to PlayStation 1 back in 1998. Story about, it was a time jump between Tekken 2 to Tekken 3, where now you're dealing with the next generation of fighters. You've got Jin Kazama that's now taken over the main character role in Tekken 3. You've got the older characters that are coming in and are now older. It's just a great game about a character that's usurping control over his grandfather's company to fight back against his evil dad. It's just a great experience overall. This was the first time that we actually had for a 3D arcade game, this was pretty much the first chance we had at a really great, near perfect, if not perfect, arcade port of our favorite game from the arcades. First time I had seen that was back in Turtles in Time, back for the original Super Nintendo. And since then, you've had a couple things like Time Crisis and things like that, but there was always something that was kind of manipulated so that it wasn't just as perfect as the arcade. This game was arcade perfect, at least to me. Great graphics, people loved it. So let's do a quick couple matches and show you the game. Let's see if we can skip over this. There we go. We're going to do arcade mode. And again, not an expert on Tekken, but Twerking Tiger is going to choose King because he's awesome. And let's do this. A very simple fighter, just something to, there's no obstacles. You're not going to interact with the stage itself. It's just you're in the middle of a street or you're in the middle of some type of locale. They've got like these flat texture backgrounds, and you're kind of just enveloped around this background. It works well enough, and the graphics still look good. It has this charm to it. Just a really great game. And I chose one of the alternate costumes because Twerking Tiger's favorite character is King. And if you want your kids to enjoy arcade games, this is definitely one you should play or have them play, to be able to just button mash, and they'll just do a bunch of moves. This is the game that you want to show to your kids, to have them really get into arcade games and that arcade experience, to hear the clicks of the buttons. And the thing that's special about this game is that when it used the PlayStation graphics, PlayStation had always had that very grainy polygon look to the games. And with arcade games, you had more of a higher resolution to the arcades. And what they did when they poured over to PlayStation, they really leaned into the grain of the PlayStation. So it actually looks perfect with the graininess that the PS1 would give Tekken. So just a great port overall. Again, you didn't have arcade ports this great before for 3D games, and you didn't have any this perfect after, until you started getting into Dreamcast, which was probably about the 2000 time frame, that you got Dead or Alive. You had Virtual Fighter 3. Those were more also arcade perfect ports. So this was the first one that you got something this great on your consoles, that you can play your favorite arcade game on your PS1. And I didn't see anything that matched this level of quality as far as arcade ports for a number of years. And this is one of my favorite games of all time. And especially for that generation of consoles, you had the PlayStation 1, you had the N64. Nothing on the N64 in terms of arcade fighters matched this. And in terms of what was on the PS1, nothing matched it either, for the exception of, you could say that Soul Calibur offered some opportunities for great gameplay for a 3D fighter, but nothing really matched Tekken 3. You had Soul Calibur, you had Battle Arena Toshinden, which was a favorite of mine. It played a bit slower, and honestly, that series fell off with Battle Arena Toshinden 3. And there was a number of copycats, but just nothing matched Tekken 3 on the PS1. So now you've seen some gameplay. It's a great kind of quick glance at Tekken 3, one of the best games of all time. By all means, guys, if you can, and I'm not recommending this, some people emulate it, but PlayStation Classic, you still might be able to find something that's affordable with a PlayStation Classic. I'm sure there's other avenues that you can try to find Tekken 3 through legal means, but Tekken 3, great game. One of my favorite games of all time, probably my top at least 10 games of all time. Definitely go back, see if you can find Tekken 3, play it, add it to your collection. And that does it for me, guys. Hopefully you like this quick look at Tekken 3. Like and subscribe this channel, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.